I've been a late-night player. I've been broke as a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker. Taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make the shaky, shaky thing. Popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger. Make my Jaeger just a little.
Hello, and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in the studio. Comcast Cable Channel 23, Danbury, Connecticut. On this March 24th, spring has sprung. And yeah, well, they say spring has sprung, but you know how it is up here in New England. If you remember, though, as we hear Bob chiming in already, last year at this time it was actually quite springful out.
It was like 60 degrees.
But not so much this year. Chilly out there, but it is spring in the air because March Madness has certainly sprung. So we know that means spring is right around the corner. And let's say hello to our man, Mr. Bob Rudd Jr.
Hi there, Scott. How are you?
How you doing there, Bobby boy?
Things are getting a little better.
A little better, and Dad is home now?
He's home.
Very good, very good. Like to hear that. So maybe he's tuning in, or maybe he's watching some of the NCAA tournament March Madness games going on. We don't know. If anybody wants to call in.
Big games tonight, right? To start the season?
Yeah, well, the game's going on this afternoon already, all day, and some more tonight. We're going to break that down. Let's just make a quick mention, of course, Bob's show, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. You can catch out all what he's bringing you, and of course, you can find a lot of those shows online. We've been putting them up.
Thank you, Scott.
You can find them on Facebook, find them on YouTube, search out Spotlight On. You will find those shows. Been a lot of good ones coming on. History of Danbury, good stuff to see, a lot of different things.
Even the Red Sox.
Some nice old Red Sox footage we put up there last week. Boston inside baseball story from 1954, a great one. So search those out. And of course, you can always see what's going on with the Danbury Whalers on his show, Spotlight On.
Which this weekend is
we're going for the Commissioner's Cup. Looking to bring the cup to Danbury, first championship for Danbury. And maybe, as you were pointing out, in the whole state of Connecticut, since what, the mid-50s?
50s, yeah.
I don't know what was a professional sports team was winning a championship back then.
It was back in New Haven, but I'm not sure.
New Haven sports team playing some sort of professional sport was the last time there was a championship in the state of Connecticut. And the Whalers are right on the verge of winning the FHL Cup, the Commissioner's Cup. Before we get into that, let's just make a quick mention also, just in the nick of time, Mr. Mike Toohey joins us, the director extraordinaire, and of course his show, Expose Cinemas, Friday nights at 10 and Wednesday afternoons at 1. All right, Whalers, Bob, they go to Dayton, the number one seed. They played those first two games last weekend down there in Ohio.
Killed them.
And they put it to them. They surprised them with, what, a 5-3, I believe it was?
Hi, Barb.
5-3 victory in game one. And then I think there was a 7-2. Back that up with a 7-2 victory in game two to take a commanding 2-0 lead, bringing that back to Danbury. Well, they'll play tomorrow night in what could be the deciding game, best 3 out of 5. So if they win it Friday night, they can wrap this whole thing up and celebrate. You know there's going to be 3,000 plus standing room only down there at the ice arena. So go on down, see if you can get in and be part of the celebration, and see if you can see the Whalers bring home the cup. What they've been looking for. They didn't get it last year as they made it to the finals, but they are on the verge this year. Again, last year they were not the number one seed. They had to go on the road in those first couple of games. They didn't fare as well this time. Dayton, which only had lost, I believe, 2 games all season at home. And the Whalers win 2 straight. So they match the number of losses they had all season, Dayton does, and they get beat back-to-back at home. So, but, it's going to be tough, I think, to close this Dayton team out. They have been the top team all season long. They had a week to lick their wounds, and now they're going to come up here to Danbury. But the place is going to be rocking for sure. and I'm sure you're going to be covering that.
Oh, I will.
And some Spotlight on. Your viewers will be able to see that. And I think tonight,
yes, Marty Heiser show will have.
Marty Heiser has the coach in studio tonight, right?
Yes, plus players, fans, and everything else.
Oh, really?
So,
Is that an hour-long show?
Hour-long show.
9 to 10 o'clock?
9 to 10.
So tonight, if you're still tuning in, Channel 23, I see Barb Keidel in studio right now. Her show these days is on at 7:30.
Yes.
And then later, Marty's show is on with all the Whalers guys coming down here, and he'll be taking calls, I believe.
Yes.
So you can call in.
Live call in.
And you can, of course, call our show right now. 203-792-4101 is the number. And the show goes by quick, so if you want to talk about the Whalers, if you want to talk about anything else, get in. Let's shift gears, Bob. It's all about March Madness right now. The tournament is underway. Some only big surprise, I guess you could say, Wichita State knocks off Pitt today. Big East takes the first big blow, and they killed them, 73-55. Right now, the number 1 seed Gonzaga is in action, and they're locked up in a tight game right now against Southern. Marquette just pulled off a big rally. They were losing to Davidson. They went on a 13-5 run and scored a layup with 1 second left to win 59-58 over Davidson, so they advance. Bucknell, which was a team that I see a lot of people picking Bucknell to get past Butler and then get past Marquette.
Yeah.
Did not happen. Bucknell goes down against Butler today, 68-56, so they are out. Butler, the team that for some reason no one was giving respect to this year. I saw a lot of people picking Bucknell. They could not get it done. Other winners, St. Louis looked super impressive this afternoon, and I have St. Louis winning a couple games, so I was happy to see that. They pounded New Mexico State by 20. Memphis holds off St. Mary's in a wild finish. They tried to give this game away by missing free throws and having some turnovers against St. Mary's, and St. Mary's had won the first 4 round 1 game, so they did get a win in the tournament, but they lose to Memphis today 52. And Michigan State pretty much handled Valparaiso. Other games going on right now, Oregon versus Oklahoma State. Tonight, I will be glued to the set.
Yeah, for Louisville.
Well, Louisville, but no, 9:15, TBS, Colorado State versus Missouri. That's the game to watch, Bob. There's no UConn for all our fans around here. If you're looking for a team to jump on board with, go check out Colorado State playing Mizzou, and you can see a former Husky, Oriaki, who transferred, one of the players who transferred out of Connecticut once the sanctions came down and it was ruled they were going to be ineligible for postseason play, as we see him right there with Missouri. And Missouri is part of the SEC right now, which didn't have a great season overall as a conference. And the Mountain West, Colorado State's conference, got 5 teams in. Boise State lost in the first 4, so that was the first hit for the Mountain West. Boise State was the 5th of those teams in, so maybe a bad omen. And I'm a little bit concerned also because I get nervous when these smaller conferences start getting a lot of attention, Bob.
Yeah, I know.
And the Mountain West has been a conference that a lot of people have been talking about. New Mexico,
right.
A lot of people are saying could make a run. Colorado State, I've heard people saying they're a legitimate sleeper right now. They've got 4 seniors, so that's always good. They rebound the ball well. I think they're going to be playing very well tonight against Missouri. Their reward, if they do win this game, will be to play most likely Louisville, the number 1 overall seed, in the next round of 32, as Louisville gets NC A&T tonight. So we'll see what Louisville, the Big East Conference champions, get to do as they just pulled off the stunning reversal of fortunes.
That was the greatest game I've seen in a long time.
I've ridden Louisville before in the tournament. And, after I was talking to a friend of mine saying, I'm just not going to buy into this Louisville thing, I filled out my bracket, and what happened? I got Louisville as my champion. I couldn't pick them out of the tournament. If you want to know who my Final Four is, I might as well go ahead and give it to you. I am picking Louisville in the Final Four. I am riding Gonzaga, the Zags, who I think have been getting mistreated by the media. Everybody's saying Gonzaga, we've seen them before, getting a lot of publicity and then coming up short. I think that people have their memory, they must have misremembered.
Yeah.
Maybe the Roger Clemens, Andy Pettit
Yes.
deal. He misheard.
Yeah.
They misremembered what has been going on with Gonzaga. I am actually comparing Gonzaga to the UConn Huskies. If you remember, the Huskies' dream season, 1989, burst onto the scene, and then they stayed on the scene for a good 10 years,
Right.
Bob, before they finally garnished that #1 seed. Gonzaga, much the same, about a little over 10 years ago or so, they burst on the scene as a Cinderella, and they made a couple deep runs, but not that far. Didn't make that Final Four.
Right.
And then they've stayed on the scene with good teams, not great teams. They have not gotten a #1 seed until now. So maybe now is Gonzaga's time to shine and crack into that Final Four. I am riding them through that West region, and they got a little help with Pittsburgh going out because that would have been their second-round foe. But they are in a tight game right now with Southern, the 1-16. They better take care of business. I got them Final Four out in the Southern region. Sticking with Georgetown, the Hoya Destroyer Paranoia.
You sure they're going to go that far?
I got them getting past all these teams. You know, if you look at this bracket, Kansas, who I didn't really believe in much this year, I got them going out against VCU in the regional semis, the Sweet 16 there. So I like VCU in the regional finals, the Elite Eight against Georgetown, and I like Georgetown advancing to the Final Four. And down in that Eastern bracket, Indiana is the #1 seed. Miami got completely jobbed. The Hurricanes. When was the last time an ACC team won the regular season championship and the ACC tournament championship and did not get a #1 seed, Bob? Probably never. If it was Duke or North Carolina, they would be the #1 overall seeds, but they were not. They were given the 2, and they are the team I am picking to get past Indiana in the Elite Eight into the Final Four. So I got Louisville against Gonzaga, and I have Georgetown against Miami, and I have Miami advancing to play Louisville in the final, Bob. The Hurricanes with Coach Larinaga.
You don't think Michigan State will get very far?
I got Michigan State into the Elite Eight, getting past Duke in the Sweet 16. The Big Ten, everybody said, was the best conference this year, and the Big Ten always plays well in the tournament, and Michigan State, Sparty, certainly does that as well. I don't know. I'm a little torn about what I think about the Big Ten and how good they really are this year. There was a lot of teams, stepping up, beating each other. Indiana, they were right there at the top. They eventually came through after they stumbled late, but then they didn't win the tournament. Ohio State is getting a lot of pub right now. Everybody's on their bandwagon as they got hot in the Big Ten tournament.
And what about
you got Wisconsin
what's
fans.
What's the team up in New York, the Orange something?
Syracuse, come on, they're not going to do anything, Bob. They had their little fun, winning a couple games. The way the bracket was set up for them in the Big East played out perfect for them. Georgetown was not going to beat them 3 times this year, even though Georgetown was, very good this year, and they pounded them twice in the regular season. But it's difficult to beat a team 3 times, Bob, and they almost did pull off that third victory in the Big East semis. But Syracuse, and also now, lo and behold, it is announced sanctions. Syracuse is under investigation by the NCAA once again. I really think the coach there needs to just hang him up. Boeheim. They're moving to the ACC. He's done with the Big East. Retire Jimmy B before these sanctions come down with the NCAA on your head as you're getting investigated again. It's a disgrace. So I do not have Syracuse going very far. I don't even know where I got them going. I'm trying to scan my bracket. I have them losing to UNLV, a Mountain West team, in the second round. I do have them winning that first round, but I do have Michigan State knocking off Duke. Some big games.
Great game to see.
I got New Mexico going deep. I have them beating Ohio State, who a lot of people are picking in the West to get.
That'd be a tough game.
A lot of people are picking Ohio State to go Final Four. I have them out in the Sweet 16 against New Mexico, who is playing very well this year. Indiana is going to have a tough game. James Madison won that first round game last night. They're going to be playing Indiana. Then Temple looms large in round 2 as the A-10 has got a lot of credit this year. They got 5 teams in. So Indiana's got a little bit of a tough go with some of their teams, Temple, UNLV, or Syracuse possibly. And then they're going to have to deal with Miami or Butler.
Yeah.
But I like Miami. Remember Coach Larinaga. UConn fans remember him well. George Mason, the Cinderella team that made it to the Final Four years ago when UConn had that powerhouse team and they could not get by them in the Elite Eight. And now he's down with a big program in Miami, and I like Miami going to the championship game, but I am riding Louisville to the title. And I'm going to have to stick with that. I've been burned by Louisville many times.
Louisville goes to the championship. What do you think?
In my heart of hearts, I would really like to see VCU, Butler, and New Mexico, and Colorado State.
Yeah.
Or St. Louis. I actually think St. Louis in this Midwest region is going to be tough to handle for Louisville if they get by my Colorado State. Who do you like, Bob? Have you made a pick to bracket? Do you got a Final Four?
I didn't really go. I really didn't have a.
No bracket from Bob, but off the top of your head, anybody you like? Any of these teams? You do like Louisville. You were saying before the show that you did like Louisville.
Yes.
All right, so that's what's going on with the big dance. Those are my predictions, some teams that I like. Another team I don't think is getting a lot of respect, UCLA. I think they're going to be tougher than most people think, although they're going to have to get by Florida if they get by Minnesota in that first round. But Florida has played well this year, but the SEC is down. How about Kentucky, Bob?
Yeah.
The defending champs, not only do they not make the big tournament to defend the title, they go to the NIT and they got beat in the first round by Robert Morris. Bob Morris knocks him out in round 1 by 2 points. Unbelievable. Coach Cal, where have you gone? Say it isn't so. Your one and doneers left you high and dry. You brought in a new batch of McDonald's All-Americans, and they cannot even make it into the tournament to defend your title, and then they get knocked out in round 1 against Robert Morris in the NIT. Unbelievable. All right, let's stick with basketball, Bob. Of course, anybody wants to call in, 203-792-4101.
The bricks and the nets have fallen
Well,
out.
before we talk about that, we do have to talk about the Miami Heat running this unbelievable streak right now. And my Boston Celtics they had them, Bob.
I know they did, but what happened?
They had them, Bob. They lose by 2. Up by 17 in the first half, up by 13 in the fourth quarter. Miami somehow, some way, figures out a way to get the win, which was number 23. Then last night, they're down by 26 in Cleveland, Bron's former stomping grounds, and they come back from 26 down to win by 3. So the Heat now running the table to 24, which puts them at the second longest streak in NBA history. We see right there, LeBron hit the shot with about 12 seconds left to put them back up by 2. Celtics really played a phenomenal game. Jeff Green, his coming out party, 42 points, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Best game of his career. They played without Garnett. Yeah. We know Rondo's already out. Yeah. And, a couple other guys who are out. So, the Celtics continue to play well, and they're going to be tough in the postseason. They didn't do themselves any favors by losing last night in New Orleans by 2 points at the buzzer against Coach Cal's former player there. Yeah. Anthony Davis hit the tip in with a second left to beat the Celtics. But the game the other night was very disappointing. Watching that game, obviously the refs like to play their part in the game. Of course. They were down big in the first half, and all of a sudden the refs get involved, bunch of calls, and they were able to cut it to 6 at the half. They actually took a lead early in the second half, but the Celtics responded and rebuilt their lead, went up by 13 with about 8 minutes to go, and you start feeling pretty good about your chances there of Boston ending that streak, but they couldn't get it done. So now history, let's see if Mike can find those shots of the historical runs in the past. We got in the studio in there in the graphics board. See if you can find them, because they have now moved into second place. They moved past the Bucks, Milwaukee. They moved past Houston Rockets. That was ironic enough. How about that, Bob? Celtics 5 years ago to the day had knocked off the Rockets, ending their 22-game winning streak the night they were trying to beat the Heat when they were at 22 just the other night. So it could have been history repeating itself as the Rockets went 22 straight about 5 years ago in 2008, and the Celtics beat them to end their streak, and they almost did it again to the date, which was crazy. Milwaukee, the Washington Bullets, the Celtics of old, they had a streak one time where they went 19 straight, I believe it was. The Knicks in the early 70s, Bob, they had an 18-gamer, 19-gamer, and there we see, here it is right there, Jerry West, the guy leading the way for the all-time record, 33, which is in range. The Spurs are going to be the team that really needs to knock them down, although as we've seen last night, any team can do it. As they were down 26 against the Cavs, they're in the midst of a 4-game stretch right now against the worst teams in basketball record-wise, so they should get to 27 easily enough. And then I believe they have the Spurs next, so we'll see how things go, but they are in a serious striking distance right now of taking down this record. The Bulls, Chicago also had a streak, 18 I believe it was. All those Jordan teams only got as high as 18, Bob. So it's not something that happens, and I don't know if it's more about the Heat or if it's more about the NBA. I'd have to analyze this schedule a little bit more. It doesn't seem like they've been playing the top teams. So we'll see. I think they've had a lot of cupcake games, but we'll see. And right now, the standings, the Knicks holding on to the third spot and holding up the Nets by a game, I believe it is, over Brooklyn. And they're trying to hold on to home court advantage in that first round. Melo came back last night, and they got a nice win against the Magic. They got a couple games coming up against the Celtics. We'll see how that goes. And then the Celtics are right behind there. They've actually fallen back to that 7 spot. They were up to the 5. Now they're back to 7. But it's all bunched up with Atlanta and Chicago. They're all pretty much even. Milwaukee has played a little better, so they could actually make a move out of the 8th spot, but I doubt it. And so it's all about jockeying for position right now. Indiana looks to be the 2 seed. They look to probably hold on to that, but the Knicks still could move back to that 2 line. So we'll see what happens out west. How about this, Bob? The Nuggets, creamy Nuggets. They win in Chicago and in Oklahoma City to run their streak to what, 14, 15 games now? So they're running a big winning streak, the Nuggets. Yet they still remain behind the Clippers and the Grizzlies, who are playing well. Also, San Antonio's the number 1 seed. Those Fakers, Bob.
What's new out there in L.A.?
Shelby isn't back yet, but they're saying maybe him and Gasol return for their next game. They're holding off Utah, who lost as the Knicks salvaged that 5-game road trip by beating Utah in that final game. They were 0-4 in that run, so not good. They're a good game and a half behind the Fakers. The Lakers, they do look like they're probably going to hold on, as we got about 18 games or so, maybe less than that.
Yeah, roughly that.
Left, so it's going to be interesting. Hockey, Bob, the Penguins running hot right now.
I know, they're hot. They just
11 games in a row, unbeaten streak for Pittsburgh, and they beat my Bruins again 2-1 on Sunday afternoon. Your Rangers looking to right their ship. They beat the Devils 3-2 the other night.
But
Martin Brodeur is supposed to be returning.
Get into keep that spot.
They're tied with they're actually in a 3-way tie, I believe it is, for that 7th, 8th, 9th spot right now with the Devils. And the Islanders are on the outside looking in, 3 points out, but they're playing well, and they're trying to hold on, and they're trying to get in. So we'll see what happens there. My Bruins looking good. They're only 2 behind Montreal, who is holding them off right now for that number 2 seed, first in their division. So we'll see. Winnipeg playing pretty well. They have moved into a division leading spot. So they're a 3 seed as the wheels turn. And out west, it's the same old story. The 4th seed has 36 points. The 15th seed has 24. So there's only 10, 12 points separating top to bottom. Chicago still out front. Anaheim right now is also riding a big streak, and they're up to 46 points, Bob, even with Pittsburgh for the 2nd overall, and 5 behind the Blackhawks, who we know had the great start to the season. and they're starting to close in on them. But this season is winding down, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's crazy. There's only 18, 17 games left. All right, let's talk a little baseball. More injury news. Now it is looking like the captain, El Capitan,
will not play.
Derek Jeter is
questionable
to make opening day for the Yankees as he has inflammation in that ankle injury that he suffered. We know at the end of last year, and they were saying he was going to be ready to go, but he has been missing time. Cortisone shot, that's not good.
No.
So he is questionable. And how about this? Let's see. What is the Yankees' record? 10-15 in spring training. They are not tearing the cover off the ball. Teixeira is out. We know, and Aroyd, he's gone.
Well, he's done for
Who knows?
season.
Maybe for the whole year.
Yeah.
Granderson is out. Now Jeter's out. The whole infield, Cano is the only guy holding things down right there. So they've got their issues, and the outfield is.
They got a few pitchers out too, right?
Phil Hughes is a little banged up, but you know Andy Pettit's back, Bob, for another year. The old man,
I mean,
father time, not taking him down.
How long is that arm going to last?
According to him, he's got 2-3 more years ready for him. You know, he took his little break from baseball. He got himself back together. Who knows how he did that? Who knows? And, you know, but how about your Mets, Bob? They got injury issues as well, though WBC was not good to Captain America, as they were calling him, as he was playing well for Team USA. David Wright is dicey situation, and David Murphy, I believe, is having some problems. We know Johan Santana is not going to be ready, so we're not sure about your Mets either, Bob.
No.
And with the Red Sox, it's really big popping.
How are your Red Sox doing?
You know, they haven't done bad. 13-12 overall in the spring training situation, so they're all right. Your Mets 8-10 overall. I don't know why they've played so few games. I think they could be playing a little bit more than that. But you know, so it's going to be interesting to see. You know, we got only about one more week of spring training, right?
Yep.
So we'll keep our eye on that as March Madness zooms on. Wall-to-wall hoops tonight.
A quick thing. Former Danbury Westerner.
Tyler Nathans.
Yes.
Signed with the Baltimore Orioles?
Orioles, yes.
Very good. So we'll get more and more into the Westerners and all their news as their season comes up. By the time we get here next week, we'll see if my tournament bracket picks are blown up or if I'm surviving.
Right.
And we'll see if Colorado State is surviving. I'm telling you, UConn fans, get on board. Go Rams. Big game tonight. And we'll be glued to that set, checking them out, and all the other teams going on with all that good stuff.
Come on down tomorrow night for the Whalers.
And go Whalers. We'll see if they are hoisting the cup this weekend. Tomorrow or Saturday, it could get done.
Right. So hopefully everything will work out, and, you know,
we'll see what happens.
A championship.
All right. We'll get all that to you next week as we're here back live in studio. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.